Now, a socialist member of the Los Angeles City Council is now launching a bid for mayor. She's challenging Karen Bass. The California Post editorial board writing this, LA, do not go Mamdani on us. And they argue Nithya Raman's sudden entry into the race is a warning sign that LA is lurching dangerously to the left. She's backed by the Democratic Socialists of America, whose program for Los Angeles includes disarming police, closing jails, and decriminalizing drugs, among other items. Donna, you've spent a lot of time in LA. Your family is there. Talk to us about this, what this portends or could portend.
Well, first of all, I think what this shows us is bad candidates produce this. So when you have weak candidates on the Democratic side, or frankly, the Republican side, you end up with these candidates that are fringe-like. But now these fringe candidates are becoming the norm. And we saw it happen here in New York. Was Mamdani going to get elected without it being Adams and Siwa and Cuomo, right? Like there was no really good alternative for the Democrats to choose. So I think that's what we're seeing in California. I mean, you have Karen Bass, who horribly has botched the entire fire issues that have been going on there. People are still not being able to build their homes. I mean, this is a prime time for a new candidate with new ideas to come forward. And if the Democrats themselves can't put anybody forward that's going to help what's happening there, you're left with these Democratic Socialists, and what they're trying to do is little by little, they're coming in to infiltrate from the city council to the school boards, and they want to become part of the norm, and that's what's happening in California.
You know, I'm curious, Paul, as Donna talks about that, what's the issue that prevents common sense Democrats from entering in? Why is it, what is it that is somehow sort of magnetizing in these socialist Dems? Is it true that every Democrat is now a socialist Democrat and we should perceive them as such? Or is there something wrong with politics so toxic that good common sense people just aren't being attracted to it?
I think the former. I actually don't think there really is much of a Democratic Party left. At this point, it feels to me like the difference between jumping off the 19th floor or the 20th floor. All right, the difference between Karen Bass or who's opposing her here. We saw it here in New York. Look at the races that just occurred in New Jersey, and Virginia, right? We were sold moderates in those two cases. First day in Virginia, boom, it's the typical DSA platform rolled out on the cover of being moderate. So that's where the energy is, that's where the money is, that's where the small donor is, that's where the big money coming from people like Soros and Singham and all these other characters is, and the money wins the races. When you look at a common denominator here, I go back to it, I've talked about it before, we have the nut job archipelago, we have the cities around the country, even in red states, the blue cities. Name a red city that's over 1 million. You're not going to be able to. What is the common denominator? It's that academia-media complex. They come out of the colleges, they go into media, the message is uniform, it gets inculcated into them in the colleges. Donald Trump, like him, love him, dislike him, whatever. At least he's the first guy to make an attempt to say, we got to break that roadmap because we are producing from our colleges people who have decided Marxism, the most imbecilic system ever devised, is somehow the answer.
All right, Harris, we're going to pop over from the West Coast to your home state, New Jersey, where far-left candidate Ana Lilia Mejia is on the verge of winning a Democratic congressional primary. Here she is, however, calling to abolish ICE.
I say abolish ICE now! You can't reform that! It's not fixable! Get it out! Kick it over! It is done! Forget it! Abolish ICE!
Now, there was a time when Jersey was purple. There was a time when parts of it were straight up red. So are we seeing what Paul's talking about, that it sort of seems that that blue, the socialist blue, is now infiltrated everywhere?
Well, look, it's obvious that they're tapping into an issue that they think that they can win on. And this is this idea of it's easier to hate something than it is to offer you something that you can love and that will make your life better. So let's just take at the core where the socialists / communists are winning. You have the aftermath of the fires in California, and you got to fix all that, those home building and how slow and so on. Those are Democrats in control out there. You got the aftermath of the snowstorm under Mamdani. And look, you can say, well, he didn't make it snow. He didn't make it, below zero. He didn't do any of that. As of yesterday, 18 people have died who were outside. And it was Mamdani, as so I've read, that talked about the policy of, well, let's let people freely roam. They don't need all those encampments. Let's do that. And then you go back and he's rebuilding some of them because you got to have shelter. We had another cold weather emergency over the weekend. Lows in the city, 14 below wind chill, right? Okay, and then you have the situation also in New Jersey. The problem there in the same storm configuration, or you could say heat, are utilities, the highest in the country right now. I don't see this new far left governor talking about how she's going to lower prices. I mean, I don't know what track record Democrats and Democrat voters are looking at that has them flocking to that brand of politics. They must live in the only place in the world where they don't have any problems, especially not with the weather, no fires, nothing. That would make them popular. But where we have real life problems, I don't see how you apply Mamdani style policies to real life.
Which is such a perfect tee up and a great point. So Mahia's policies, which we put up, she just is offering it all for free. So we have as the primary concern for all voters, both sides, economics. But what we're hearing is a promise of everything being free. Free college, debt forgiveness, free utilities, free buses, free jobs, free groceries. But there's not a smart economic theory behind it to certainly either A, cut down costs, or B, account for the high overheads, thanks to the Democrats' prior decision. So that's something that everyone is inheriting, yet somehow that sounds attractive. Why, Nicole, is that lack of intellectual argument somehow working with voters?
It's unbelievable to me because we all know that nothing in this world is free and someone is paying for that. And that is why everyone is flocking to my lovely state of Florida and Miami, because you know what? They know how to do things. They know how economics works. And guess what? We don't even have a state income tax in Florida, and we're in a much better situation than these places in New York, a triple tax, and they are suffering. So again, people that think, oh, you know what, everything is free. Yeah, it's free unless you're the one paying the taxes and you're the one having to shell out all of your money. And those are the people that are leaving. And so people from California, specifically it could be LA next, will be flocking down to places like Texas and like Florida. But again, going back to this whole, the Democratic Socialist America, there was one statement that they said, which in light of the current Olympics going on, which I thought was absolutely flabbergasting. They oppose the Olympics, saying that the event would, quote, place our already vulnerable communities at a higher risk of death, displacement, deportation, and detention. How bizarre is that? They don't even believe in the Olympics. That's got to go.
They must have forgotten they already hosted it then, because the flame is still burning there at the old Coliseum. All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.